¿Cómo están? Excelente! And welcome back to Learning with Senor Kafka. Today we're going to get a new vocabulary, but first, let's have a short warm-up. All right, here it is. We're practicing some of our grammar. So, saquen papel y practiquen. Pause the video now. Number one, the tall girls are funny. Las chicas altas son cómicas. We're describing two girls here. My friend and I are short. Mi amigo y yo somos bajos. Remembering that we're describing two people. Do you run in your house? ¿Corres en tu casa? We read many books. Leemos muchos libros. Where does he study? ¿Dónde estudia? And if you want to, you could say, ¿Dónde estudia él? And finally, I need to sleep more. Necesito dormir más. So just practice those little extra words like más and muchos and things like that. So there you go. Okay. Now, so today we are learning what we call the airport travel vocabulary. It's all sorts of things like airplane and suitcase and stuff like that. I will tell you right off the bat, this is not what I would call an easy vocabulary. It's not impossible, but it's not something like that you could just kind of maybe pay attention to and kind of memorize. This is something you have to actively study. It's a really good example of a vocabulary where it's not basic, it's not baby, it's not easy. You have to actually learn these words, okay? And some of these words are things like customs and an airport gate and things like that I will teach you what they are if you're not very familiar with airport travel, okay? So let's get started. First, we're just going to go over the vocabulary. And here it is. Now, this is posted on Google Classroom. So here we go. Here's the planning process of the trip. El sitio web, or El sitio web de viajes. That is a travel website. Something like orbitz.com or Kayak, where you can go and book flights and rent cars and things like that. I like them. They're pretty interesting to show you prices and things. Confirmar el vuelo, to confirm the flight. This is when you hit finalize, yes, I'm coming, save me a seat on the plane. Hacer la maleta is to pack a suitcase. Like we say to pack, they say to make a suitcase. Hacer un viaje, to take a trip. In English, we take a trip. In Spanish, you make a trip. Okay, I'm going to make a trip to Jamaica. Voy a hacer un viaje a Jamaica. Ir de vacaciones, to go on vacation. Llamar a means to call, which was, I believe, one of the verbs on your list. Viajar means to travel, very common verb if you're discussing, places that you've been and things like that. And la escala is a layover or a stopover. Let me demonstrate what that is. Here's one of your words that you need to learn what it is. All right, so here's a map. Here is America. Here's the East Coast, Texas, and all that stuff. And blah, blah, blah. So let's say you want to go to Italy. There's Italy. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So let's say you are going from New York to Milan, but you have a stopover at the Miami International Airport. So that's two flights. So you start in New York. So you're going to Milan, but you have a stopover in Miami for, let's say, 3 hours. And then you go to Milan. That is a layover or a stopover. Usually it makes for a cheaper flight because it's inconvenient. People don't want to do it. And they can be pretty long. I think I had a 7-hour layover one time. But it's not that bad because you can wander around the airport and check out the shops and go to Wendy's and pay $25, all that sort of thing. So there you go. That is a layover. You're going from here to here, but there is a second destination you have to go to first. I think sometimes you can even have a couple of them. Like you have a layover at one place and then another. So like you physically get off the plane at your layover. Okay, so that is escala. All right, so boleto is a ticket. Boleto de ida y vuelta is a round trip ticket. It is called a ticket of going and returning. So a round trip ticket, to show you again. Oops, hold on. Let me pull up paint again. All right, here's what a round trip ticket is. Let's say you are in America and you want to go to Spain. Okay, if you buy just a regular ticket, which is de ida, which means just a going ticket, this is called a one-way ticket. Gets you from here to Spain, and that's it. If you get a round trip ticket, you really buy two tickets at once. You buy the flight that gets you here and the flight that gets you back. Okay? So basically, you buy the ticket, you print it out, and you have two tickets. One is your going ticket, and the other one is, let's say, a week later when you return. That is a round trip ticket versus a one-way ticket. Okay. Next, equipaje is luggage. Identificación, identification. El pasaporte, passport. A passport is a special form of identification that you need to be able to leave the country and to come back. If you go to another country and lose your passport, you cannot come back without it. Absolutely not. You would have to go to an American embassy and fill out paperwork and prove who you are, and then they would issue you a new passport. It probably takes a couple of days. It's very inconvenient. So do not lose your passport. So there you go. So it looks like an ID. It looks like a little book, and you need it to leave the country and to come back. You don't need it to go on a flight. You could fly from here to New York and you wouldn't need it. Even to Puerto Rico, I believe, because Puerto Rico is an American territory. Okay. El itinerario is an itinerary. An itinerary is a big old fancy word for a list of what your trip consists of. 5 o'clock Monday, wake up. 6 o'clock, arrive at the airport. 8 o'clock, depart for Madrid. 10, arrive in Madrid, that sort of thing. Your itinerary is a list of flights and events and things like that. La maleta is a suitcase. La tarjeta de embarque is a boarding pass. A boarding pass, to go ahead and show you what it looks like. So a boarding pass looks like this. So once you print your ticket and show it to them, they are going to give you a boarding pass. And it looks like this. It's a little card that allows you to get on the plane. It says, this is who this person is. This is where they are. Here's the time. Their seat number is this. So you show that to the flight attendant and they say, okay, go ahead. You can get on the plane. Okay. So that's a boarding pass. This little card they give you that lets you on the plane. At the airport, abordar, to board. El aeropuerto, airport. Auxiliar de vuelo is a flight attendant. If you don't know, that is a person who helps you on the flight. It's literally called a flight helper in Spanish. If you get hungry, if you need a blanket, anything like that, they will come by and give you what you need. They serve food. They explain safety rules. All right, facturar el equipaje, to check your luggage. This is something you do when you get to the airport. Checking your bag is you walk up, you show them your ticket. They take the bag from you. They weigh it to make sure it's not overweight. And then they put it on this little thing and it goes away and they load it onto the plane. So checked baggage means if you check it, you give it to them. So that's not that big of a deal. So there you go. So they take that. And you can keep like a purse and one bag called a carry-on bag. Okay. That I put stuff like, like my Game Boy and books and stuff because I get real bored. El reclamo de equipaje is the baggage claim. This is for after you land, you go to the baggage claim and it looks like this. Everyone stands around, and the bags go around and around, and you wait for yours, and then you grab it and you walk away. That's the baggage claim. They usually take forever. Hacer cola means to get in line. So in English, you get in line. In Spanish, you make a line. La pantalla is screen. There are many screens in an airport, and you want to check them constantly because the flight information is always being updated. Sometimes they'll change the time. Sometimes they'll change the gate, and you'll have to go somewhere else. Like this is a gate. This is gate D5. If you were to walk down further, that would be gate D6, and it's where you walk through this thing and get onto the plane. So you have to be careful because if you don't check the screen, it might have said D5 before, but now it's B10, and you got to grab your stuff and foot it and hope you get there on time. So be sure to keep checking the pantalla. Okay. El pasajero, la pasajera, those are passengers, the people who are traveling. All right, pasar por is to pass through. Seguridad, this is security. This is probably what you've seen in the movies where somebody has to go, and what you do is you have to pretty much disassemble everything. You have to take off your shoes and you put those in the box. You put your backpack or whatever you have in a box. Any watches, jewelry, cell phone, all of that takes off and goes into a box. Usually you take off your belt and put that in a box. And then you step in the body scanner and it takes a picture to make sure you're not hiding weapons under your clothes. And then all of your stuff goes through this little x-ray machine and they look to see if you have anything like large amounts of liquid, which could be something explosive, weapons, anything you're not supposed to have. They're checking. Okay. And sometimes they'll even pat you down. You'll get through the body scan and they'll, pat your pockets and make sure you're not hiding anything. Okay. La aduana is customs. Customs, when you enter another country, you go through what's called customs. And basically, they say, do you have anything that you're not supposed to have? Like, it's very suspicious if you land in another country and you're carrying $20,000 in cash or 30 bottles of wine, or they also have to check for things that you're not allowed to have, things like ivory and, illegal things like that. So that's what the aduana, that's what the customs does. They check everything to make sure that you're following the rules and the laws and that you're not bringing things in that you shouldn't have. Next is inmigración, immigration. Anytime you go to another country, you have to pass through immigration. And immigration looks like this. These are immigration officials, and they ask you questions. And it's kind of nerve-wracking because they'll say things like, how long were you in Tokyo? Why were you there? What did you do while you were there? That sort of thing. Because they need to make sure, if somebody's like, why were you in Spain? And you seem very nervous, like really nervous, they're going to really get uncomfortable and wonder why you're so nervous that all they did was ask you why you were there. Usually it's a very positive experience. They're usually pretty cool people. And like, all right, cool. Well, have a great time. Glad you're back. All that sort of thing. I've never had a bad experience with a immigration official. All right, La Puerta is the gate. Like I told you, that's the little area where you sit and you wait to get on your plane. And each one has a letter and a number. Okay, like I said, it'd be like D3, D4, D5, D6, like that, depending on the airport. La salida is the departure. That's what time your plane leaves. La llegada is your arrival. That's what time you land. Vuelo is a flight. La casa de cambio is a house of exchange. This is a place you go if you want to change over your money. Like if you have a pocket full of American cash and you land in Japan, well, you can't use it. So you have to go to a house of exchange. Every airport has one, and many places you'll find them as well. Like it'll be like a business as you're walking down the street. I know that for sure there are many in Spain because I've seen them. They'll usually give you a pretty bad rate though. Like let's say is $1 to €1, which is not going to happen, but we wish that it could. So let's say a dollar and a euro are both worth $1. So you go to the house of exchange and they have a fee. And now you have paid $5 for €3.20. So you got to make sure to go to the right one. My advice, go to your bank because the bank is not trying to make money on it. They don't care. It's just like a flat $10 fee and they'll exchange it. And you'll get it like in 1 or 2 days. Avión is airplane. Okay. And then finally we have train station, la estación de tren. Bus stop, la parada de autobús. Parar means to stop. So the parada is where it stops. Tomar un taxi, to take a taxi. And then, ¿dónde está? ¿Dónde queda? Where is? ¿Dónde está la estación de tren? ¿Dónde queda la parada de autobús? And there you go. And that is your travel vocabulary. Now, as always, mnemonics are your friend. So definitely with a vocabulary of this size and unfamiliarity, you might want to come up with some things to remember. For example, llamar means to call. Imagine instead of calling a taxi, you call a llama. Viajar, to travel, looks kind of like voyage. Boleto is a ticket. It will let you on the plane. Equipaje, luggage, that's like your equipment that you have with you. Identificación is an easy one. Pasaporte is an easy one. Itinerario, easy. Maleta, remember like old time cartoons, how they would hit each other with a giant hammer? That is a mallet. So imagine a cartoon character goes on vacation, they put their mallet in their maleta. Okay. Tarjeta means card, a boarding card. So think of a Target card, tarjeta, and so on. And there's a lot of different things. Reclamo de equipaje. This is where you reclaim your luggage. Okay. Pantalla. They say, we found someone who's lost their pants. We'll put a picture on the pantalla. So, and again, this is not an impossible vocabulary. If we zoom out, we can see it's a big one, but it is in sections and we do have time to learn it. Okay. So let me show you real quick, and we're almost done. Y'all are doing so well. I know this is kind of boring when we have to go over notes. All right, here is the process of plane travel for anyone who's unfamiliar. I've been on so many planes I can't even tell you, and I love it. I love airport travel. All right, so first you buy your ticket online. You go to a place like Orbitz or something like that. Then you drive to the airport. Usually someone drops you off, like your mom or whoever. You can park and pay, but most people tend to get dropped off that I've seen. You go to the desk. So you'll find, like if you have a Delta ticket, you'll find the Delta desk and you walk up there. You show them the ticket you printed out. It's got your name, it's got the thing, and then they scan it. You check your baggage, which like I told you, you give it to them, they weigh it, and they say, all right, it looks good, and they take it away and put it on the plane. They give you a boarding pass. This is what lets you get on the flight. You go through security where you take off your shoes and your belt and all that mess. You check the screen for your correct gate and time for your flight. Has anything changed? Compare it to your piece of paper. Go to your gate, which is where you sit and wait. Board the plane. Sometimes you'll walk out on one of these little hallway things, and sometimes you will actually walk out on what's called the tarmac where the planes land, which feels really weird every time. After you land, you go to the baggage claim and find your bags. And if this is just in a flight in America, then you're done. But if you're in another country, you go through customs, you make any claims, you say, yes, I bought a $1,000 diamond bracelet, and I have 10 bottles of wine and that sort of thing. And you say, all right, that sounds fine. And immigration, which of course, like I said, verifies who you are and that you're allowed to be there. And that is plane travel. And then you go outside and you have an adventure. So there is a Quizlet for this vocabulary, and I'll show you how to get there. Okay, just make sure I'm not skipping anything. All right, so your vocabulary. So all you got to do is if you go to tinyurl.com/cow travel. tinyurl.com/CalCalTravel.
Attention students, this is a reminder if you
It will take
scored
you right
a
here.
3 or higher
And now
on your
we'll be here.
AP test, please see Dr. Tyson at the Commons counter during your lunch for a surprise.
Okay. So again, oh my gosh. Hi. Okay. So here is the Quizlet. Travel website, el sitio web de viajes. To confirm the flight, confirmar el vuelo. To pack a suitcase, hacer la maleta. Okay? So my advice to you is print out your notes. You can use the paper. You can use Quizlet. You can use whatever you need to do. But I'm telling you now, spend time with this material. If you don't know it, you're going to be in trouble because on the tests, you won't have a lot of time to look over your notes and things during the test because, well, you're not allowed to anyway. And that's why I've timed these questions because you need to have in your mind, oh, to pack a suitcase, hacer la maleta, and then you move on. Okay? So I'm going to press upon you one last time, spend time with this material. I'm going to cancel your little assignment today, and all I want you to do, spend time studying. As good as I am at Spanish and as smart as I am someone who needs to study a lot. Okay? I've never just not studied and done well. I spend a lot of time studying, and that's why I learn. So that's what I'm going to leave you with. Study your material. Okay. So study and come back and watch tomorrow's video for your assignment for Learn from Home Day. All right. Adios.